and thank you on behalf of Mr. Guptar for accepting the invitation and for your precious time and effort. We are all gathered for the launch of a collection of poems named From Spirituality and Beyond, written by Mr. Krishnanand Guptar. Proceeding to the program, let me invite Mrs. Guptar to welcome Her Excellency Lady Sarojini with a token. I would appreciate if Her Excellency could kindly move through to the head table place. Unfortunately, the Honorable Minister of Arts and Cultural Heritage just informed us that due to some unforeseen circumstances, he will not be able to attend the function today. He has, however, conveyed his apologies and his best wishes to Mr. Guptar. I would now call upon Mr. Krishnanand Guptar to welcome the Honorable Kavilas Ramandu, Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climatic Change, with a token. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I will request Mr. Kavi Gupta to welcome Sir Vinod Basha with a token. Thank you. I will request Mr. Avnish Gupta to offer Mr. Krishnanand Guptar a token. I am now pleased to invite Mr. Krishnanand Guptar to deliver his welcoming and introductory remarks.
Thank you for the ceremonies. The Honorable Kavilas Ramandu, Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change, Lady Sarojini Guptar, Mrs. Santibai Anumanji, former Speaker of the National Assembly and former High Commissioner of Mauritius to India, Sir Vinod Basha, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. It is a real pleasure for me to welcome you to this function today. First of all, I must thank you all for being present in spite of your busy schedule to grace us with your presence. I would in particular extend my heartfelt thanks to Lady Sarah Guptar, who in spite of her wavering health is honoring us today, again, for the second time, for the launching of my present book. I would in particular extend my heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Kavidas Ramadu, who, in spite of his very tight schedule, has responded favorably and is present among us and will be launching the poem together with our distinguished guests. Well, as the master of ceremony has said, Honorable Arun Sujak has apologized for not being present because he has been taken up in an urgent commitment at the last moment. But his spirit is among us, and he has conveyed his wishes for us. Today, we'll be presenting and launching the poem book, Spirituality and Beyond. I'm limiting myself to the presentation of one book, that is maybe the one I mentioned, because of my health situation. In fact, just 3 weeks back, I was admitted to clinic for 10 days, and it included 3 days in the ICU. So, in fact, my medical practitioner has recommended me for rest. But since I had already announced the invitation, I thought it advisable to maintain this function and not to tire myself. So I'll be covering the presentation of the poem, Spirituality and Beyond. This is also in order to do full justice to the memory of Sir Andrew Jackner, because it will require quite some time to cover his achievements, his legacies, and all that he has done for our country. I don't want to be passed away in this short manner. That's why I would prefer to present it in a second function, and you will all be invited to that function. I'm sure that you will understand. I trust in your understanding and in your comprehension of this matter. Now, let me refer to the poem book entitled Spirituality and Beyond. It is in fact the third phase of my journey in life. The first phase was when I was pitched between humanism and spirituality. It was expressed in my poem Between Earth and Sky, which I written in 1975 and launched in 1976. So the second book was, in the second phase, I moved from humanism to spirituality. So this is also the title of my book, which I launched in October 21. Now, this third phase tries to decipher further about spirituality and what lies beyond spirituality. This is the gist of the collection of poems that I have said. In fact, this poem book is divided into 2 parts. The first part delves further into spirituality, and the second part looks into what is beyond, according to my perception, my imagination, my vision. Well, in fact, this collection of poems was written between October 2021 and February 2022, simultaneously with a poem book I was writing on the life and basis of South Africa. And I completed the poem on South Africa by July 22. And by the time it takes for preparing the preface, the foreword, going to the press, so I had already planned the launching of the book as from December. That's why I maintained it despite my situation. Evidently, the notion of spirituality differs from one person to another. For some, it may be no connection to something greater than ourselves. There is something which is beyond, which lies beyond, which is supreme, and it tries to understand the purpose of life, the meaning of life, the goal of life. Spirituality starts when we ask the question, why I am here in this world, what is my purpose in life, what is my goal in life. So these are some of the types of poems that is covered in this book. For me, spirituality was ingrained in me since my childhood. As I've conveyed in my very first poem, Treading Down Memory Lane, I quote, I can still remember my childhood days when chanting spiritual hymns was a paroxysm of pleasure, when teaching of moral values were absorbed with beautiful desires, when learning of the supreme truth willingly dispensed by parents was fully welcomed during my youth. So this is an extract of the first poem I've written, entitled Treading Down Memory Lane. In fact, the thread of spirituality runs through all the poem. For instance, the poem March of Time, Time is a Precious Gift. What is life if full of stress? It is not enough to feed the human body. They all have a spiritual dimension. They all touch on spirituality. And in the poem Attaining the Inner Self, I describe in poetic language how one can reach the inner self, which in the poem I describe as siding with love and kindness for others, gleaming with hope and grace with strength, and keen to quit others by others. In the poem, The Purpose of Life, I've expressed the view that the goal of life is to elevate the humankind, make the world a better place to live in, and be at peace with oneself. There are various poems like Staying Connected and Message to a Young Person that conveys messages to the younger generation. In fact, these are messages that I have lived, that I have experienced personally in life. So that is what I inspired me to write these poems conveying messages to the young generation. But there are also poems like The First Step, You Reap What You Sow, Karma, Just It is carrying messages to everybody and messages of a spiritual nature. Well, the second part of collection of poems transmits my innermost wishes and my perception of what lies beyond. I'm fully aware of what lies beyond. Maybe known that can be imagined, that can be envisioned by us, by someone. It involves belief in a superior self, in a supreme personality, which we call the Supreme Soul, we can call the Almighty Lord, we can call by different names, but belief in such a supreme force is what makes life, human life, different from other from other forms of life. And in the poem, human suffering are in fact outlined and expressed in vivid language what I felt when I was on bed just after the surgery I carried out in 2021 for accomplishment of the large intestine, which was stuck with the large hernia. So it was just after I returned from the ICU. I was suffering a lot, but I prayed to God, and it was like a conversation between myself and the Lord about human suffering, about the significance of suffering, what meaning, what describe, what message it described. So it described, this is described in this poem about human suffering. And other poems which are followed are offering thanks to the Lord. Obviously, I have to thank the Lord for sparing me again for a short time from the clutches of death. And in the poem, Messages of the Soul, I offer messages to someone who is suffering in the light of the experience I myself gathered during my journey in life. And my inner wishes are expressed in poems like raindrops, gentle rain, hearing of the stars, at the crossroads of destiny and individuation. And in fact, this inner wishes, in brief, is to be free from the cycle of birth and death, and in daily hustle, free from the web of religion, and to seek divine recognition. In fact, these are my humble inner wishes, which are expressed in this poem. And in poems like at the gate of heaven, in heaven, are expressed what, according to my perception, lies beyond. What lies beyond spirituality, what lies in the soul. Well, some of them emanates from dreams that I had while I was still suffering. But psychologists may say that dreams are reflection of the inner wishes of the mind. Philosophers may say that they are reflection of the inner self. But for me, they were inspired by some divine force. And in fact, the poem book, which I am written, is an offering I'm making to the Lord, to the Supreme Lord, for inspiring my life, and also for inspiring me with words and reflections which otherwise do not have come to life. So I can say that many of the words and the thoughts and the rhymes and rhythms have been inspired by some divine force. Because without inspiration, it is quite difficult to write a poem of a high quality. And to some extent, the poem book gave a drink of my readings. Readings like famous poets that you have heard, like Info, like Krishnanand Guptar, and other famous American and European poets. But mainly here, the emotions, the perceptions, the reflection that I have lived personally inside. When you have lived something, it becomes easier to convey in words. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. So many of the poems reflect the fact of the experience. Well, while I have grouped the poems into two parts, this is not a watertight compartment. In fact, some of the poems will fit in either part because spirituality and what life beyond are inevitably linked with each other. Well, I have opted for poetry to transfer my science to the law because poetry enables us to transmit thoughts and reflection in a compact way, and it enables us to use simple words to form rhyme and rhythm that resonate in the ear, like in music, like a song. So this is also the attraction of poetry. Poems, particularly spiritual poems, when you read it, they convey peace of mind, they convey quietude to the readers. But for the poet, for the writer, it enables him to link up with the school. So it gives probably much more pleasure to write, in fact, than to read simply. So this is why I have expressed in poetry. But it is also the form of language, the medium which has attracted me since my student days. When I was a student, I was really attracted to poetry, and this attraction has survived until now. Before ending, I would like to recall my appreciation to Sir Guptar for accepting without any hesitation to pick up the foreword for this poetry book. He has been exercising not only supervision over my work since the time I was at the Ministry of Finance in 1981, but before that, he was also teacher of the English language and English literature to 6 formers at the Royal College of Rugby for students competing for the state scholarship. So he is very well placed to write the foreword to this poem. So I thank him again for that. And I would also like to thank Dr. Ravish Rai, who unfortunately is not here, but was here in India on a mission, for recently diagnosed the cause of my illness when I was admitted for treatment in 2025. And with his skillful hand, he carried out the surgery, and he was for me like an instrument of the law at that moment covered by sudden demise. Because if he was not there, probably I could have met sudden demise. This poem book I am submitting for your appreciation, And I hope that you will enjoy reading it. I hope that you will find pleasure and quietude of mind. In fact, this one book is an invitation to spirituality. Because spirituality is ingrained in every one of us. So with this word, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Guptar, for giving us an overview, a brief overview of his poetic book. I hope that you have been able to listen to him carefully and will probably buy his book as it will be available in the bookstore as from next week. Now, let me invite Sir Tinel Pasha to deliver his address.
Highly respected Lady Sarojini tonight. Honorable and eminent and respected Minister Kapitas Ramadu, Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change. Many distinguished guests, all of you are distinguished guests, seated in all of you dans les places de l'heure. Toutes les places ici sur les places de l'heure. Toutes les places. Mesdames and distinguished guests, I message you allow me salute my very good friend, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Mauritius, now, Mr. Sulamoulal, who's been doing so much for this country in production of revenue, your revenue, my revenue, so of course. And then, Mr. Guptar, colleague, friend, and many of you have probably realized that the standing still of the bouts of illness, he has seen the end of the day very near, but he's still there. That is belief, is spirituality. I also salute a colleague, a relative, a lady who has also contributed a lot to this country. Her name is Mrs. Maya Anumanji. We are well together, then of course, that will reach a crossroad. You either turn left, or you go straight, or you turn right, or you turn. You know, poetry, the management, poetry, is inspired by nature. And man is being very unkind to nature throughout the world. If you allow me, I'll quote something from Baudelaire, who said, la nature est un temple où de vivants piliers laissent parfois sortir de confuses paroles. L'homme, il passe à travers des forêts de symboles qu'il observe avec le regard familier. And then, of course, I think W.S. Davies said, what is this life? If full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, ultimately, a very eminent Minister for Protection of the Environment. But we forget that nature is the source of living, protects us, gives us everything. And the Minister knows that full well. I learned from him. I learned from his speeches also. I try to protect the environment as best as I can. I must thank Mr. Krishnanand Guptar both for the aesthetic and literary pleasure of writing the foreword to the poem Krishnanand Guptar, The Life and Legacies of a Great Soul, and to the collection of poems Spirituality and Beyond, and also for the privileged pleasure of addressing you. I shall certainly not repeat in my address, fortunately only address with the speech, the full contents of the foreword, the two forewords, though a few extracts therefrom are worth being referred to for today's function. And they will, I expect and hope, serve as a spontaneous invitation to you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to peruse them yourselves. But first and foremost, I must, though briefly, highlight my relationship with and knowledge of Mr. Krishnanand Guptar. I have not been his teacher, I have been his collaborator. I've known Mr. Krishnanand Guptar since he was posted at the Ministry of Finance in 1981, when I was heading the Prime Minister's office. He has always been a very modest and unassuming person, very modest and unassuming, but quietly very confident, and showing the highest degree of integrity as well as commitment and dedication to his work as a professional economist and analyst. But I did even then also assess, as a former education officer then, educator today, at the Royal College of Cupid, teaching English language and English literature at high school certificate level, that his obvious sensibility as a person would incline him to creative writing, particularly poetry. I also known Mr. Krishnanand Guptar in my capacity as head of the civil service, and since the time he was posted at the Economic Intelligence Unit of the Ministry of Finance. Although he was then an administrative officer, he was performing the duties of a professional economist, as he had graduated from the University of London in the field of economics. Thereafter, by dint of hard work, his dedication and devotion to service, he gradually moved up the ranks to accede to the highest post of Financial Secretary in the Finance Ministry in 2005, and subsequently as General Manager of the Public Power Producing Corporation. Since 2009 today, his services have been retained as Financial Advisor in the Finance Ministry. His services have been retained because he deserves. And I will say my services also, thanks to the Prime Minister, for the one utmost to be retained. However, it was during the last quarter of 2020 that his talent emerged as a refined poet, imbued with a high sense of humanism and spirituality. Despite the high ranks he occupied in the public sector, Mr. Krishnanand Guptar had always remained a paragon of simplicity and modesty, respectful of his superiors as well as of juniors working under his responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, having briefly situated Mr. Krishnanand Guptar, the professional and the man, I shall now dwell on the collection of poems Spirituality and Beyond, before dwelling on the poem Krishnanand Guptar, The Life and Legacies of the Great Soul. Sometimes you wonder, what does spirituality mean? I wanted to be sure before coming here this afternoon. As a former student, I picked up my Oxford English Dictionary and said, what is the spirituality there? What does it mean? So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the adjective spiritual, I quote, relates to or affects the human spirit as opposed to material or physical things. And according to the same dictionary, the word spiritualism, there is a negative aspect of spiritualism. The word spiritualism, from the philosophical point of view standpoint, also means, and I quote, the doctrine that the spirit exists as distinct from matter, or that spirit is the only reality, end quote. These meanings do permeate the collection of poems on spirituality. In fact, the very essence of spirituality runs through all these poems. Mr. Krishnanand Guptar has perceived, mind you, the end of life from very near, and has come out of this perception through spirituality, believing as he did, and he does, the human goal is to reach the inner self, which is the seat of peace. Mr. Gupta is in perfect harmony through his spirituality with the reality that death is a necessary end and will come when it will come. To use the words of Shakespeare, who also wrote that only cowards die many times before their death. In the poem Attaining the Inner Self of this mentioned, the author delineates how the human being can reach the inner self, which he describes to be like a lovely flame, and I quote, shining with love and kindness for others, gleaming with hope and braced with strength, and keen to treat others like brothers. Spirituality has enabled him to always be at peace and not at war with himself, and also to believe in a superior universal force that makes human life meaningful and different from other forms of life. I invite you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to go through the foreword and the collection of poems, which not only makes interesting reading, particularly for lovers of the English language, but will also appeal to them as a real thing of beauty, which, as the poet John Keats wrote, is a joy forever. The same invitation is made to you for the poem Salim Jagnat, The Life and Legacies of a Great Soul. Before dwelling on the poem Salim Jagnat, The Life and Legacy of a Great Soul, I must really pay a tribute, valuable tribute, the most highly respected and eminent Lady Salim Jagnat, the spouse of the father of the first economic miracle, and the mother of the visionary and patriotic statesman of modern Mauritius. I recall with great emotion, ladies and gentlemen, the moments during 13 years when I had the privilege, the honor, and the pleasure to work very closely with Samuel Jordan in Mauritius, whether in office or at academia, and also in abroad, on official missions, during which the innumerable qualities of the great woman which Lady Sarojini naturally possesses were continuously a source of inspiration to me. Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you will bear with me as I now deal on the poem Salim Jagnat, The Life and Legacies of the Great Soul, with respect and also with justified apprehension that I do not do full justice to the masterly manner in which, and to the abundance of sincerity with which it translates in poetry the outstanding qualities of such a gigantic Mauritian statesman in wrenching the economy from the clutches of underdevelopment, economic downturn, and backwardness, and in lifting it up and advancing it to higher and still higher heights for the common good and the good of the entire nation. It is pertinent that I echo here a few extracts of what I wrote in the foreword as follows. Writing of the life and legacies of Salim Jagnat is quite a challenging task. Very challenging, in view of the long span of his political career and the numerous legacies he has bequeathed to the country. But writing thereon in verse, as my friend Mr. Gupta did, is still a more daunting venture. The poem of Krishnanand Guptar, delineating the life journey and achievements of Salim Jagnat over nearly 3 generations, is indeed a great and welcome initiative, which, in my reckoning, is fresh and new in Mauritius and relatively rare in these present times in the English language.
I, for one, and I'm sure many lovers of poetry in the English language do hope that the author-poet will continue to find time despite his professional work obligations to continue to write such heart-touching and mind-provoking poetry inspired by real, lived, and living experiences of life, as well as fired by the richness of a productive and sensitive imagination, charioted on the lunar streets of poesy, to use the words of an English romantic poet. In this poem, containing some 1,406 verses, the poet first depicts in a vivid and emotional language the demise of Samuel Jaffna, and the general mourning in which even when nature seems to be possible. I had the sadness, the privilege, you will remember, for the funeral of Samuel to be on TV and speaking about him. This is quite circumstantial. The day of the demise and on the subsequent day, the sky was actually veiled with a carpet of clouds filling the air, and it kept raining throughout the day all across the country. The sensibility of the poet can be felt when it portrays his own state of mind as one state of heart on the next day after the fateful event as follows, remembering that both himself and myself will work closely with Samuel Jaffna. The author says, the writer says, my eyes are dripping all along, whether inside or outside I stay, just like the sky, with due respect, around the near and far land, is dripping thousands of droplets mourning the death of a great man. I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished, that my job this late afternoon is unfinished. Indeed, unfinished. It is not possible in a relatively brief address to dwell at length both on the subject matter and on the author of the subject. But you yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, finish the job by appreciating yourself the subject matter and by experiencing the poetic sensibilities of the author along with the ingredients in my forwards. I warmly congratulate, really, Mr. Krishnanand Guptar on his poetic achievements, which are of international standard and quality. I, for one, am like Oliver, and I'm asking for more from him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Peter Basha, for your remarks. Let me now invite Honorable Kavidas Ramanu to say a few words.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Laurie Chakore, Honorable Dagnajo, Mr. and Mrs. Almondi, Mr. Sudamonal, Mr. Thomas Menu, Mr. Krishnanand Guptar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be amongst you today for the launching ceremony where we recognize creative writing of a talented poet for writing. A book, Spirituality and Beyond, written by none other than Mr. Krishnanand Guptar. The book contains deep spiritual aspirations and reflections, cherishing the best social values and principles in life. Mr. Krishnanand Guptar has always been a very modest person, showing the highest degree of integrity as well as commitment and dedication to his work as a professional. Mr. Guptar's contribution and service to the government as a public officer is very important. As an author, he is serving the country, in particular as well as the future generations, by leaving behind his artistic and creative legacy. His poems have inspired from real life experiences which convey messages on various aspects of life. For instance, what he has lived, felt, and experienced at different moments of life. This book expresses spiritual thoughts and vision of Mr. Gupta in a poetic language. As we are aware that today humanity is encountering hurdles, through his book he has demonstrated that the true purpose of life is to elevate humankind, make the world a better place to live and to be at peace with oneself. I would surely encourage the members of the audience who are present during this ceremony to draw inspiration from the poems. Personally, two poems are noteworthy, amongst others, namely, Stay Connected and Message to a Young Person. In both these poems, the poet conveys his moral and his spiritual perspectives, which he personally experienced and praised in life. The words will definitely impact positively in one's day-to-day life, thus making our livelihood more meaningful. In the book, Mr. Gupta accentuates in his poem human suffering. His sufferings were when he underwent a major surgery in 2021. He deals with the causes of human suffering by using this vibrant poetic language. During such one of his experiences, he visualizes himself conversing with the Supreme Lord on the thematic human suffering. In the words of the writer Sharon Ortier, part of what makes who we are is our experiences through our lives. This connects with poetry because poetry is written to convey those experiences. Throughout his poetic journey, the events in his life have shaped his personality and influenced his ultimate wishes. Through his writings, I can sense the dream and vision of Mr. Gupta. Indeed, his poems serve as inspirations to pave our lives. I congratulate Mr. Krishnanand Guptar for his literary achievement. I wish that our young generation adhere to highest principles of spirituality. On top of that, I am confident that all lovers of fine and evocative poetry will derive aesthetic pleasure through his collections. Besides, I am convinced that the language adopted will equally nourish the minds and soul. I invite the readers to appreciate and connect their inner self with his book. Once again, I would like to congratulate Mr. Krishnanand Guptar for his dedication as a writer. I wish him courage to pursue his dreams, and may I wish you all happy reading. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Distinguished guests, as an expression of appreciation, I would like to invite the author to read a short poem for us.
Thank you again, Master Service. Well, the poem which I will read is entitled Liberation. Well, it expresses basically main aspirations which are expressed, my inner aspirations which are expressed in this poem. So let me read it. With the body and the mind together, turn off to rest in peace and quietude, and just delving deep down on myself. A soft and gentle voice I can gather, trying to utter words in solitude. within the innermost depths of myself. These whispering words of true wisdom, words of liberation and freedom, transmitted over endless centuries by many respected saints and sages, from primary books of antiquities for the benefit of endless ages. So this is a conversation I'm having with my inner self. And what the inner self is saying, this is what I'm questioning. We do further. Saying, my dear friend, as you're fully aware, I'm part and parcel of your body, the very cause of your life as you were, primary driver of your destiny, and your own inner individual soul guides your step to your final goal. Yet, I'm equally a particle of the eternal divine supreme soul, who is and will be indestructible, the very creator of one and all, the original source of energy and the universal divinity. The earth is a temporary abode for travelers to purify their soul, realize the truth and serve the Lord, to achieve noble deeds for one and all, not just to gratify the body or to help on the ego and the me. Time has shined for me for liberation from this mortal cage and its delusion. I've traveled through many long highways. I've enjoyed my voyage as always. My final journey is close to its end. My final destiny is a heaven. The only ardent wish I now cherish is not in this world to flourish, but to ever free from the cycle of birth and death, from its daily hustle, free from the earthly web of illusion, and to seek divine unification. So this is what is expressed in this poem liberation, is a link between spirituality and what life is. This is the essence of this poem. Thank you.